Good morning, everybody. We're back live. My apologies to the audience on me missing some shows. I'm back, and I never know how to say we're really live because sometimes we might run this as another show.
I was ready to chime in on them. Like, if you say that, how do they really know? But we can tell you the date.
There you go.
What's today's date?
And that voice you just heard was
13th?
Stu Stewart.
16th. Just kidding.
My son. We have Rick Kearney, who is he's kind of like a adopted son. He's
my brother.
He's worked for me for many years, and probably one of the most intelligent on how an automobile runs of any man I know. And he learns constantly. And if you've got an issue with your car, we'd love to have you call the show and speak to Rick. And that number is 877-960-9960. You'll probably hear that till you want to slap me. But you got to remember, this is a 2-hour show. We're on for 2 hours from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're all over the country. We're all over the world, as a matter of fact. And nobody listens to the show for 2 hours. Maybe, a couple people, but most people tune in, tune out. So if you tune in for 15 or 20 minutes and tune out again, you'll get some good stuff, but you're not going to get the whole show. And if you have a question about your car, just give us a call. Nancy Stewart is my co-host. I'm looking at her right now. She founded this show 20 some odd years ago with me when we were a half an hour. I think we were on Thursdays, and then the radio station went out of business, and we didn't have a job there for a while, and we came back, and now here we are, 2 hours. And Nancy Stewart is, as I say, she helped found the show with me, and she's become the female advocate, which makes us unique in the fact that usually car shows are all about guys. Guys love cars. It's one of those things. But what people forgot, economically, women are a huge factor in the automobile market. If it weren't for women, there'd be a lot of car dealers broke today because they buy half the cars, but they don't call into the shows like other people, like men do. Men, it's a toy. I want to talk about my toy. Women are more practical, and so she's built the audience up to 50-50, and I'm going to turn the mic over to her very shortly here, and she's going to tell you about a special offer. If you're female and you're listening to the show, it sounds too good to be true, but it is true. We have a pleasant surprise for you if you call in the show and you haven't called in before. This is a crazy time, and if there ever has been a time in the evolution of the automobile manufacturing and retail business, it's now. I mean, what is going on in the world today with the automotive industry, and that's retail and wholesale, is scary. I mean, I've been in business since 1968. And I pride myself as knowing a lot about what's going on. I don't know what's going on right now. When you look at the headlines, here we have the head of potentially the largest automobile manufacturer in the world, who is also now advisor to the President of the United States. Now, if that doesn't get your attention, nothing will. We have sacred companies that we look at as the company. General Motors, Ford, used to be Chrysler, no more, but that are hanging on by a thread financially. And you have new companies you'd never heard of before. How many of you heard of BYD? Well, it's a Chinese company, and they're potentially the competitor to Tesla, which is almost the largest manufacturer of the world. So all this stuff is happening, and meanwhile, you say, well, what does this mean to me? Well, you're going to buy a car sooner or later. Probably, if you're listening to the show, you'll buy a car, and that's why we're here, to give you information. So with all that said, I'm going to turn the mic over to Nancy Stewart, my co-host, and she'll tell you about the special offer.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Ladies, I have a special promotion for you, and that is we want you to give us a call. So we're putting something out there that, well, just might encourage you to give us a call. The first 2 new lady callers, you can win yourself $50 this morning. $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Like Earl said, over half of women purchase a vehicle. They're a huge part of this industry. And I do have to say, if the car dealers don't recognize that by now, they're in big trouble because, as I said, they are a big part of the auto industry and the finances. And they are a driving force, you might say. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Also, Jonathan, are we up and ready to go? Oh, okay, great. You know what I'll do? I'll get to the callers that are lining up already. We're going to go to John in Palm City. Good morning, John.
Good morning. I have a question for Earl, and I want to tell people if the car that they purchased or attempted to purchase does not have the manufacturer's list price attached to it, never mind in the back seat or in the glove compartment, just walk away from that vehicle. And the reason why I'm saying that is the manufacturer's certificate of origin, not the origin certificate. There's 2 certificates that people have to know. You never see it. One is the dealer keeps it and has to register it for you. That's like a birth certificate, and that's put away. You don't see that. But the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and I want to read one out to you because it's an education in itself. This particular one is from a friend of mine, 2024 XT5 Premium Luxury Cadillac front-wheel drive. Now, to begin with, this is the actual manufacturer. Right on it, it has total vehicle price $56,130. Before that is the standard vehicle price, $50,195. So what the difference is, the accessories, which is $4,540, which makes it $56,130. So you know where you can start from. This is the actual list price that's been since 1958 from Senator Monroney, and it must be attached to the car. Now, Earl, my question is, if this is missing, there's a fine. I think it's $200. Who enforces that fine? Is it the Attorney General or is it a DOT? Has it ever been enforced to your knowledge?
FTC, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I, if there has been a fine, we don't know about it. It's I know of no dealer. Stu and I, and Rick and Nancy, we know hundreds, maybe thousands of dealers cumulatively between us. I've never had a dealer say to me, I had a fine because my customer couldn't find the Monroney label. You know, the sad part, John, and you always bring up the important things. So, sometimes we don't talk about that Monroney label as much as we should, because it's been a law since 1958. That's the year I graduated from high school. So,
Yeah, me too.
so it's been around for all these years, and it's totally ignored. I think the analogy I use is I-95 or the Turnpike or the Expressway, where the speed limit is 65 miles an hour. And you know what happens when you get on there and you go 65 miles an hour.
They do 195.
So every dealer decided, it was almost like a conspiracy, to hell with the Monroney label, to hell with Senator Monroney, to hell with the federal law. I'm not going to do it. And all the dealers jumped on the bandwagon, especially South Florida, and they just ignore it. So we holler and we talk on this show, and I'm guilty of it too. We need more laws, more regulations. What we need is enforcement of the laws that we already have. And there are laws on the books now that we're glad are not enforced because they were, they might have been there 200 years ago, and now they are silly. But nobody goes back into the books in Washington and say this law is silly. This law is being ignored. Let's start enforcing this law and let's drop this law. Nobody does that. We just have more and more laws and more ignoring of it. So thanks very much for that question.
But I don't wish to bore people, but let me tell you something additional. The most important part of this, naturally, is the dealer that it was delivered to is on there, the ID number. Then there's a column, government 5-star rating, overall score. There's 5 stars for this vehicle. Underneath that, frontal driving crash, there's 5 stars again.
Yeah.
Crash, that's for driver. Crash for passenger again. Again, side crash, 5 stars for front seat, 5 stars for rear seat. There's even one for rollover. That's 4 stars. And most important is the fuel economy. Overall, 24 miles a gallon, 22 in the city, 29 in the highway, 4.2 gallons per 100 miles. There's even a column that the annual cost per year of fuel. Then this is another one that nobody even pays attention to.
Yeah.
Fuel economy and greenhouse gas ratings. And this is a 5. It's 1 to 10. There's even one a small rating, 1 to 10. And this means it says in small print, this vehicle emits 370 grams of CO2 per mile. So my point is, this is an education in itself about the vehicle that you're attempting to buy. And one very important point on our option column. Options specifically, it says here, all-weather floor liner package, 375, parenthesis, dealer install, which means it comes with the car, mainly in the trunk, and the dealer puts them out. So you get these shyster dealer, crooked dealers that will charge you extra for that package alone, because it's specifically when it says dealer support.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you again. You learn more. We consumer learns more by reading the manure label than they do from the salesman, and it's honest and it's more complete. So that was a great call.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
sure.
We got to move along with the next
Great,
caller.
great
Okay.
subject,
Thank you,
John.
guys. Thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. We are going to go to Howard, who's been holding. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. Beautiful day today.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of questions I have for you. Is there a time element where you have to change drive belts? 60,000 miles, or do you have to wait till it sounds like when a drive belt starts going bad, they squeal? So maybe Rick could help me with that one.
Got you covered, boss. No, there's no miles or time lifespan for drive belts anymore. It used to be, and I'm going back to like 95 when I first started working on cars, 92, 95, and drive belts would last about 25, 30,000 miles. They start getting cracks in them, and when you started to see those cracks, it was time to recommend new belts. My Tacoma pickup that I'm driving right now is 11 years old and has 183,000 miles, and it's got the original drive belt on it.
Wow.
Whatever they did to these drive belts, they're lasting forever now. If they could make tires like that, I'd be out of a job almost, because, it just...
Yeah.
They are making cars now that are going to outlast you, your kids, and your grandkids.
Amazing.
Oh, now who makes the drive? Does Toyota make drive belts, or they?
No, they usually buy from a company like Dayco or Gates, but I think Dayco makes most of Toyota's drive belts for us.
And either one is a good company to.
Yes.
You wanted to,
yeah, they're
okay.
even the Goodyear Gatorback belts are excellent quality, and just if they start to stretch a little bit and they get loose, they'll start to squeal at times. Then you just go ahead and replace it. But again, it might be years and years and years before you ever replace another drive belt on a car.
Okay, one other question. A friend of mine bought tires. They calls for a ZR speed rating on it, but when he bought the tire, he got a W rating, which is one less than a ZR. Is there a problem with that?
It's going to depend on his driving habits. If he isn't driving fast, then a W rating is just fine on that car. If he intends to get out there and bend a few laws and rip down the highway at a high speed, he might want that Z-rated tire. But the speed rating is all about the tire handling the heat and the traction control at those higher speeds. So if you're just driving normally around town, normal highway driving at 65 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, a W tire is going to be just fine for you. You save a few bucks that way.
Right. And last question, very fast one. When do you change your sway bar links?
When they begin to make noise. And again, that's something that it's so rare to change those anymore. The biggest thing we see anymore now that's a rubberized component that's starting to wear out a lot are control arms. And these are, the bushings start to wear out and the arms start to get extra movement in it. But you're usually seeing that on cars with like 150 to 200,000 miles.
But if that fails, does the sway bar fail? What happens? Do you get an accident or?
If the sway bar links were to break, the car would feel kind of sloppy driving, and you'd get a lot of noise from the pieces rattling around. That'd be about it.
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay, thank you. I'm not going to hold you up because.
Thanks, Howard.
My pleasure.
Interesting conversation. 877-960-9960. And if you're joining us on Zoom and you have a question, please use the chat function by clicking on the icon. And Jonathan's going to be right there, and he's our producer, and he'll get your name and location and put you right through. That number does appear on the screen that you're watching, and if you're not, that Zoom number is 926-589-0586. That number again is 926-589-0586. We're going to go right to Barry, who's calling us from Tampa. Good morning, Barry.
You there, Barry?
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Morning.
I was wondering if I put on a falsetto voice if I could win the $50, but
You try.
yeah, that was just a passing thought. My real question is about auto shows, and specifically the kind where the manufacturers show off their latest models, which I guess you could take a couple of different ways. But the vintage shows and the custom shows, that's a different animal. I'm not concerned about those today. Anyway, I'm interested in attending the show in Orlando that's running through tomorrow. But I've read comments that indicate that the Central Florida International Auto Show, as it's called, gets smaller each year, with many brands not even participating. I see words like disappointing, bleak, and empty coming up in the comments. And when you look at the online floor plan, it shows no Tesla, no Subaru, no Lexus, no Mazda, no Mercedes, and several other brands are missing.
Wow.
So I'm kind of questioning whether it's worth the price of admission, but I'll probably give it a try. But what's your opinion of this and other Florida car shows? Are they a dying breed?
I mean, the big ones, New York and Detroit, and those are the big famous ones. I'm not familiar with some of the smaller ones around, but yeah, I don't know if it'd be worth the admission if the exciting brands weren't there. Like I'd want to see Tesla and what GM and Toyota what they're coming out. It's pretty exciting on the big shows because you see what's coming down the line, and some concept vehicles too. How much does it cost to get into the Orlando Auto Show?
$20 for a regular person, $15 if you're a senior or military, and it's $15 parking.
Oh, well, that's adding up there with parking. I don't know. Yeah. Can you watch it? Do they live stream it, or they do something online? You get a
No. I mean, I might just try it for once to see what it's like, but
Well, it's not like $100 a ticket. but-
Auto shows are becoming less and less popular because looks are becoming less and less popular. It's what's under the skin, and now it's what's in the microchip. So what we used to think, a car is a car. That's that beautiful 1957 Chevrolet, four on the floor with dual four-barrel carburetors, and that was a car. Now that car doesn't exist anymore, and what you've got is a rolling software package, and it's almost too complicated to make a decision as to which car you want to buy, because the car you want to buy is the one that ultimately is going to be the one that drives you instead of you driving the car. So it's, I know I say this too many times on the show, but things are changing so fast now that the consumer is pretty much at the mercy of what's out there, and we're not having the influence, the consumers, that we used to have. Someone has that vision that a fully autonomous car, all electric, is the way we're all going to be driving in a few years. And I don't know anyone that says that isn't going to be true. So just imagine what that's going to do to the landscape, to the buyers, to the manufacturers, to the sellers. It's going to be a whole new world. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Thanks
Barry.
for calling.
We're going to go to Doug, and Doug is giving us a call from Boca. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
Hey, Doug.
I woke up today to watch the sunrise, and it wasn't there.
Oh, really? You guys didn't do it?
But I'm calling to ask a question about tire pressure. So I set it to 37, and it says that's about right. But I've seen some people go up to 40 on the GR. And
What's it say on the tires?
it says 30, 37.
Is that the max PSI?
No, it goes up to 40.
Okay.
That seems high.
I recently had a personal experience with that in my Tundra, and I took a road trip up to Tennessee, and I was pulling a trailer, and I checked the air pressure of the trailer tires and the truck before I left, and all my tires were around 31 psi. The tire on the wall it said 50 psi. It came in from the factory with 32, I think, and I was like right around that. And I wasn't concerned about the safety, but I was concerned about the my fuel efficiency. So I came up right up on my next my first actual service, which is just a tire rotation. I told them to put it up to a level that was somewhere between that. So I had so we did it at 42. I don't notice any difference in the ride. I'm not bouncing around. It doesn't feel hard like they said it would. And I've already noticed, like, just driving around town, an uptick in the gas mileage. So I would gravitate higher, because you also have a kind of a sporty car there. So you want to. I think it would be okay if it was a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lush ride for you in that GR. So I'd go up closer to the number on the tires, but not all the way. Rick's going, what a great job, Stu. You just answered that like I would.
Perfectly.
Yeah, unless you're very sensitive to bumps.
Yeah. I mean, I was worried about that, because I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to get like brain trauma driving up to Tennessee next time. But it's not like that. It's all right. Did you hear that, by the way, about the Navy high-speed votes, and I assume the Coast Guard?
Yeah.
That's terrible. That generations
bouncing around for a long time is not good for you.
Yeah, and they get CTE from it, and just like football players, and Mike Tyson might get.
Really? Wow. So that means a wave runner, one of those, probably wouldn't be good for you either.
Yeah, these guys have been doing it for their entire career, like 20 years of it. So I don't think a couple of weekends are going to do it. But
fast boat drivers.
Yeah, guys that go out every weekend. But I put a little bit more pressure in there, get some better gas mileage, and enjoy the ride.
Okay, well, you guys have a great day. Ella says meow.
Thank you.
Meow right
Yeah,
back.
all right back at you.
And
Thank you, Doug.
I need some coffee, but have a great day.
Enjoy.
Coffee man, yeah.
Okay, we are going to go to Tricia. Tricia, if you've been listening to the show, she definitely is a regular, has a lot to share with us. We love your company, Tricia.
I love yours too, and this is going to be a different kind of question, an ethical, moral kind of question, maybe new to your show. As you know, I've been having difficulty with the lights, the 4 lights being lit up to the left of my odometer, going on and off, and it's intermittent. And remember, I told you several weeks ago, that I was charged $350 to replace a mass air filter that was way overpriced because he got me an expensive one for $159, but they charged me $207, and then an hour's worth of labor when it only takes 10 minutes to put in this thing, and it was only $350 because I had a $25 coupon. All right, as you know, that did not work. He went in again. He cleaned out the throttle, hoping that would work. That did not work. Called him again. He said, I'm going to call a friend of mine who works with Honda. He came back to me and told me it's going to need what's called a Honda application that you could only get from the dealership, okay, to fix it. All right. So, and also, Rick, I want to tell you, you told me for him to check the wires. The wires he did check, they're not loose. All right. So, here is my question to it. It's not affecting the performance of my car. I'm not going to spend $500 putting in a Honda application to reboot or reset the computer that I could only get from Honda because it's not affecting the performance of the car. But my question to you is, I feel that $350 should be credited to me or paid back to me by my guy who did it, since it did not solve the problem. Obviously, it was a computer problem, and his computer misdiagnosed it because it was a mainframe computer problem. I want to know what you guys think. Should I be asking for a credit or a refund?
I agree with you on that
That's a good question.
because one of the laws that I lay down for myself as a mechanic is if I work on a customer's car
Fix it right the first.
and I find that I cannot fix the car with the time frame allotted, or even if I spend a couple hours on it, if I'm not able to solve it, I don't know where to go next, and I have to give that over to someone else. Or if it's a non-Toyota and it has to go to another dealership, I will not charge that customer. I will tell the writer, this is a no charge. We're not charging them. We couldn't fix it. Give them their car. They're free to go, no charge.
Well, Rick, at the very least, to give the warning to the customer that you just gave, because sometimes a diagnosis is complex.
A good faith
and
diagnosis.
You know,
Yep.
as a very, very well trained technician, that there are 3 things that could be maybe equally, and then you tell the customer before you start, I might get lucky and pick the right problem here, but I'm going to have to do it by process of elimination.
Right.
Absolutely right. And there's also, you make great efforts to overlap as much as you can. So I've already gotten in here. We're not going to have 3 separate jobs. I've already done this much. So some crediting should be done.
Exactly. And I'm one that I just learned from day one, you got to be honest with the customer 100%, because the moment you lie to a customer, you've lost them forever as your customer, and you lost out on all the business that they would have sent to you. And it hurts everybody all the way around.
And your nose grows.
And and
And
I'm
people see it.
sitting here telling you right in front of Earl Stewart that I have sent his customers away on a rare occasion, not charging them, even though we worked on that car for a couple hours. But that's just I'm brutally honest.
Okay.
It's just who I
And
am.
that's why
okay.
I came back.
But Rick, Earl, this is a different story. He really thought that was a problem because that's what his computer told him.
Right.
See,
So-
so-
exactly. And that's
Well,
a good faith.
If he went on record and he told you it was a problem, he should have also told you that should their problem still exist, there will be another charge. So, you know, if a technician said, I'm sure this is a problem and this will fix your car, and you get him to write that on the repair order ticket because that locks him in legally. But it's always a he said, she said kind of a situation when there's this conversation and nothing's in writing. Always get it in writing. If it's not on the repair order, get a text, get an email, and say, this is a problem I've diagnosed. It's going to cost you $375, and that will fix your problem. And now you're legally.
But I've already done
Right.
it. I've already
But here's
paid
Well,
it.
then you got to hire a lawyer.
Yeah, ethically, here's what he should do. He should give you a break on the second job. It doesn't mean he needs to sacrifice. He made that diagnosis. His computer. It was done in good faith. He didn't try to screw you, but he shouldn't.
Right.
He shouldn't enjoy the awards of your misery. So he should, to keep you as a customer and happy, he should do the second one at cost. He made money the first time he charged you. Maybe he could do it just what he has to pay his technician or himself if he is the technician, but just. It needs to come down significantly to acknowledge the fact that you both went down the wrong hole, but you suffered from it,
No,
and he profited from it.
Excuse me for
Something we haven't mentioned on the show before recently is small claims court, and I sometimes hesitate to call a lawyer. People know lawyers cost a lot of money, and they don't want the time and aggravation. But there is a small claims court, and it's available to everybody. And if you write a letter to the dealer and you say, I will be taking this to small claims court, it almost has the same impact as if you really called the lawyer.
Right.
But
You're not really going to do
yeah,
it.
sometimes you need a little bite to get their attention, and that would do it.
Okay, he's got to buy. He told me he has to buy this application from the dealer. I didn't ask him how much it's going to cost him, but should I make him buy it and say, hey, you've got to...
No, if he tends to pass that cost on to you, he's going to use that for... I think you should go to the dealer at this point, because now he's buying, software he's going to allow to fix the car when the dealership has that. They might have a higher rate, but now this guy's adding this stuff on. You've already paid for the job that didn't fix it. I think you got to stop screwing around with this guy. But maybe ask him if he can give you like a rebate or make you feel happy about the last job. A couple $100 or just something to acknowledge the fact that this happened and it was unfortunate. He can make a little money and you can go away. But stop. I wouldn't mess around with him anymore.
Tricia, have you built a relationship with this person?
Yes.
And
Right.
That gives you some leverage, I think, just going back in and letting your voice be heard.
I
How's that
was
sound?
thinking maybe I could get a credit on my next oil, anything of the job that has to be done. Instead of asking for my money back, I said, give me a $350, credit on any work I have in the future.
Perfect.
What do you think? Do you think that's a good idea?
I don't know, because you still have to fix the car, right? Or is it done?
But Rick, it's not affecting the performance of the car. So I don't. I just have to live with the damn lights. So that's another thing. I don't want to put in any more expense to this.
What is it? What kind of car
I
is it?
understand,
At
Tricia.
this-
I think
at this
that
point,
going
we've
in
got a
and
bunch of calls
talking.
waiting here, but I will say this: if you want to, if he's a good mechanic, and you told me you thought he was, and you got along with him up until now, I would give him one more chance. But what he did is technically wrong. But your challenge will be if you don't use this person anymore, and if you take him to court, small claims court, or anything else, and then you have a adversarial relationship with him, you're going to have to go out and find another mechanic, and that's easier said than done. So I try to keep him happy and have a nice conversation. We got 5 calls waiting.
Tricia,
We
I
gotta
say,
go.
this relationship that you've built with this person, continue until you get what you want. After that, walk. Thank you so much for calling.
My pleasure.
We're going to, I want to thank Paul and Roger and Jay for their patience. we're going to go to Paul, and he has been holding from North Palm Beach. Good morning, Paul.
Oh, good morning. I have a 2012 Toyota Sienna that I bought from Earl 12 or so years ago. Wonderful, wonderful vehicle. Something strange happened the other day, and I wonder if someone could comment on it. I am driving with the radio turned off, and I get through the radio Sirius XM. The radio's turned off, but I definitely have this broadcast. I turn the volume up and down on the radio while it's turned off. It has no effect at all on the volume. I turn the radio on. I get the regular radio station. The volume works. Turn the radio off, and I'm still getting Sirius XM. So wondered if you had any experience with that. I was afraid. I hope there wasn't like a short or something somewhere, because it's being powered somehow. Although when I turn the car off, I don't get the broadcast.
I can guarantee you Rick has never encountered that before.
I actually have not. However, let me ask you this. When you bought the car, was it set up for Sirius satellite radio? Because normally that requires an added
Unit.
extension module be installed to the little antenna, so that you can get the Sirius XM radio.
Yeah, because without a subscription, it would play channel 1 over and
Right.
over and over and over and
Yep.
over.
Yeah, in the van. Yeah, I believe we did have it for a short time when we first got it, but hadn't had it in a decade or more.
Okay, that sounds like then most likely the head unit of the radio has got a short in it somewhere, and it's actually, even though the power is turned off, the radio is still receiving all its power from the car, and it's still connected to the speakers and everything. And what's probably happening is that Sirius XM module is receiving those two channels, the sample channel and the one that tries to get you to buy the subscription. And for some reason, your radio is actually putting that onto the speakers, even though it should be turned off. So I'm willing to bet you've got a short in that radio somewhere. And with it being a 2012 radio, my recommendation is, if you can live with it, just ignore it. But if it really, really bothers you, stop in at like World of Sound or Best Buy and look into the idea of an aftermarket radio that has 2024 technology, and you'll be able to get things like the Apple CarPlay, the Google CarPlay, all the maps and everything, the Bluetooth, and trust me, you're going to love the new features that they have, and it'll be about half the price of just buying the replacement radio for that Sienna, if you could ever find one.
Yeah, it stopped doing it. It might start again. It's not that loud, and it doesn't bother me, so I probably won't do anything with it. I was just afraid, is it only getting power when the car's turned on, or is the short possibly, would that drain my battery if I didn't drive it for a while?
No, because when you shut the car off, it's a different system that controls the power to the radio, and there is one wire that keeps constant power to the radio, so it has its memory. But when you shut the car off, the main power for the radio turns off. So the whole head unit will power down and goes into the sleep state. But yeah, unless it's, like I said, unless it's really bothering you, if you can just live with it when it occurs, I probably wouldn't spend any money on that. As long as the rest of the radio is working normally.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your help. Love the show.
Thank you, Paul. Give us a call again. Ladies and gentlemen, $50 for the first two new lady callers. Take advantage of that offer. You still have time. 877-960-9960. That's the first two new lady callers. You can win yourself $50. We're going to go to Roger, who's been holding. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning.
What can we do for you?
So, yes, I have a 2017 Nissan Quest, and recently it bucked a little bit, and then the engine light came on. So I put the machine on it, and basically it said it was a misfire. So I hadn't changed the plugs in a while, and I thought, well, maybe I should go ahead and change them out, and that should fix the problem. So I put in a brand new set of plugs. It seemed to drive okay. I wasn't having any problems. And then toward the end of the day, it started doing the bucking and stuff like that, and I couldn't get it to kind of straighten out. So I started checking other things in the engine, and I found that the connector hose between the mass airflow and the filter had a crack in the bottom where you couldn't see it.
A vacuum leak, yep.
Yeah, that vacuum leak. So I thought, okay, I'll replace that. And by the way, I just want to say, what a ridiculous price. That was like $158 for that wrinkled hose.
Yeah, some of those they are very, very proud of.
Yeah. So anyhow, I put that in there, still had a problem. I checked all the vacuum hoses, and I found a hose that had a crack in it. I replaced that. And so what's happened is that the car smoothed out. The mileage that I was getting for a tank of gas straightened out. But what happens, I start up in the morning, drive here, go here, do that, do this. By the end of the day, around 4 or 5 o'clock, if I park the car and go do an errand and come back to the car, it'll start bucking. And I sat there and let it idle for a while until it straightens out. But it almost happens almost every day, and I don't know what else to check. I have no idea what's causing that problem, and I thought maybe you might have some ideas.
Let me ask you this. When the problem first occurred, had you refueled the car recently? Like within a day or two, bought gas for it? Filled it with gas?
Well, it's been several weeks, but probably. I mean, you got to buy gas every week or so.
Because misfires can occur for a number of reasons. Usually, though, one of the most common things that will cause a misfire like that is contaminated fuel. This is something I see a lot of. And what happens is rainwater will get down into the fuel tanks at the gas station. And sometimes their system will suck up just a little bit of water, and that water will get into your tank. Now, what happens, though, obviously water and gasoline don't mix. So the water actually forms like a little puddle down in the bottom of the tank, and as you're driving, it's moving around, and that little puddle, sometimes little bits of it, will get sucked up by the fuel pump, and, of course, water doesn't burn well in an engine, so it winds up getting that stuttering feel.
Right.
I would try, and this is one of the only times that I will suggest a mechanic in a can type solution, but for about $10 or $12, get a can of dry gas. This is an alcohol mixture that you put in the fuel tank, you just dump it right in, and it actually causes the water molecules to be able to bond with the gasoline and the alcohol. It works as a catalyst to collect it together, and it will slowly burn that through. So if there is any water in the gasoline, it'll burn it out and might just save your issue for a $10 fix. Other than that, you just have to keep watch and see, is it the same cylinder that's acting up each time, or is it multiple cylinders? You could have a coil pack starting to go bad, or it could be the even the cylinder itself might have a mechanical issue. But
since I fixed the air mass flow connector and the vacuum, I haven't gotten engine light hasn't come on since. It just bucks with no engine light.
Yeah. Sometimes the computer won't flag the misfire because it thinks it's just a quick occurrence, and it may not trigger it enough for it to flag. So that's why I would try the dry gas first.
All right, I'm going to try it. So you think, but that makes sense that by the end of the day that the water would show up into the fuel mix. I mean,
it's possible if it's moving around.
Yeah, like this morning I've been driving the car. It's no problem whatsoever. It drives perfectly.
Yeah, because the reason I mention is I had a customer a while back that every time they would make a left-hand turn, the car would sputter. and it was
You're right.
because of a little bit of water in the gasoline. But yeah, the next most obvious thing that I'd look for is if it's misfiring on the same cylinder each time, then it might be the coil pack getting ready to go. And we have seen
Okay,
that happen quite a bit.
I'll give that a try. Now, this dry gas, where do you buy that?
Any auto parts store.
Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon will have it too, yeah. Yep.
Amazon. Okay. All right, that's a good idea. I was wondering about the water in the gas. That's funny the way it drove, but because I buy my gas at Costco, I just felt like that wasn't it, but I could be wrong.
Well, and Costco has a super high turnover on their fuel. I know that because I try to get mine there, and unless you go there super early in the morning, there's always a super long line. So they use that fuel up quickly there.
That's like their hot dogs. They sell them at cost.
Yep.
All right, well, listen, thank you for the tip. I'm going to give it a shot.
Thanks,
Good
Roger.
luck to you.
Give us a call. Let us know how that turned out for you.
It'd be nice if you could get hot dogs in line at the gas station at Costco. Like, you wouldn't have to go in if they just bring them out while you're fueling up.
Be still my heart.
Well, we'll pass that along.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
And a soda.
we're going to go to Jay. He's been holding. Thank you for your patience. Jay's calling us from Hope Sound. What can we do for you, Jay?
Well, good morning. I dropped a friend off to have his car serviced at Auto Nation in Green Acres, and I happened to see a Toyota Corolla that I thought was interesting. It was a 2023 Corolla, and I asked one of the salesmen, what's the price out the door? And he printed out a sheet for me, and basically the Auto Nation price was $20,998. Sales tax about $1,400, and then the things that the questions I have are on, for instance, electronic filing fee of $199. Is that a junk fee?
Yes. That's a junk fee.
That's one of the favorite names. Dealers come up with creative, official-sounding names, and they love the electronic filing fee because it just sounds. It's like documentary fee. They try to make it sound like a legal, legitimate fee, and they come up with that. But electronic filing fee has almost become commonplace because all the dealers thought it was such a cool name. If they put in a junk fee, they might have a problem.
It's related to the filing, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Pay that electronic filing fee.
There's going to be more. Keep going.
Okay, and then registration fee, $500. Well, that's what transfer registration.
That could be legit. Yeah. Well, that sounds high for a transfer fee. It could include a transfer fee and maybe some extraneous stuff if they're lumping it into one line. But keep going. There's probably more.
And then the final one is dealer service fee, $9.95.
Yeah, that's the famous one. That's
junk.
Junk. Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Yeah, it sounds like an Auto Nation store. A
test that you can apply to any fee instead of having to guess, because the dealers are pretty clever about coming up with good sounding names, is recalculate your sales tax on your buyer's order and find out if the dealer had set that particular item up to pay sales tax on. If you're going to have to pay sales tax on it, then it's not a legitimate fee.
It's part of the price.
It's part of the price of the car. So if it's a $500 fee for electronic filing fee, and in Florida it's a 6% sales tax, there should be $30. If it's legitimate, there should be a $30 charge for that under the sales tax. If not, then it's junk and just added profit for the dealer.
Yeah, I mean, $30 is reasonable, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And also on that registration fee of $500, like at a dealership, typically it's an estimate. They run the tag when you actually buy the car, and so they get the exact price. So that could change and could come down. Or they could have some things built in there, like the private tag agency fee, which I don't think they're allowed to include that on the same line. I don't know, but it's part of the same process. but it's a cost to the dealership. So and if they charge it to you, you're paying sales tax. They're just adding it to the price to increase their gross profit.
Well, and I also checked Earl Stewart Toyota for Corollas, and a brand new 2024 Corolla with the Smart Path price was $22,993, which I think is a really good deal.
Well, is that the sale price? Because we have the out-the-door price on the website as well.
So it might even be lower than the Smart Path price.
No, the Smart Path price is what we have on the website is the current price that we're charging for that vehicle. I was just I didn't know, because if you click into it, you can see after we add sales tax and the estimated tag fee what the out the door is, and that's in there on the website as well.
All right. Well, I got a feeling if I'm going to buy a Toyota, I should probably do it at your dealership.
Well, you should look around. I mean, we have we do our best to get the best pricing, but we're trying to be competitive with other dealers, and so we can be beat. I just got to be wary of the other fees.
We have a unconditional money back guarantee for a week.
Yeah.
On all our vehicles. The reason we do that is to make it less fearful when you buy a car, because at any other dealer, if you buy the car and drive it home, you own it, unless you want to go hire a lawyer or something, because once they take delivery of the car, customers are legally responsible for having bought and paid for the car. So we have an unconditional. I underline unconditional, and all you attorneys out there know what that means. It means that you're crazy because you shouldn't say that, because you can get in trouble. But we do it anyway. For $1,000 less or any less, you could say, fine, I'm going to bring that car back to Stewart, and I'm going to buy the car from you. So it's competition. It's good for the customers, good for the dealers, but it isn't something that they like, and that's the reason. You should be absolutely positive before you drive that car home.
Well, and I do have to hand it to AutoNation because it really was a hassle-free experience. There was no pressure by anybody. The sales manager wanted to speak to me.
Generally, that's true with AutoNation.
They're better than most.
We have seen some surprises at AutoNation stores, but when you have 200 and some odd stores, a car dealership or any business is only good as the people that work there, and every now and then you get a rotten apple in the barrel. We have rotten apples in our barrel from time to time. It's just the way it is. If a business tells you, I've got 160 people here, and every one of them is strictly honest and nice, and
they're all angels,
they're lying to you.
Yeah. If I was a car consumer, though, I would feel comfortable shopping at an AutoNation store.
I would too.
Yeah,
And have you heard of True Car in Opelika?
Yeah. Well, True Car.
True Car is a service. I don't know if they don't have a location.
No, yeah, they're actually. Yeah, I think it's West Coast. I think it might even be San Francisco. But they're nationwide, and it's a franchise sort of a thing that dealers sign up with to get a true price, to get a low actual price. It's a good company. Get the True Car price. They will tell you that price is this. The price without junk fees is this, and they'll also tell you about the junk fees. So you get the total price, plus you have the opportunity to say, I don't want to pay that electronic filing fee for $500 because it's not really a fee, it's a profit to the dealer. So True Car, if you can find a True Car dealer or a Costco dealer, you got yourself a good chance to get the good price.
And by the way, I was checking out your red Supra, Earl. That's a really sweet car.
Well,
That's that was the launch edition. It was the first, the 2020 GR Supra, and we got that because it was special. And it wasn't the very first one. I think was bought by John Staluppi at this auction for $1 million or $2 million or
at least $1 million.
At least $1 million. Whatever it was, it shocked us all. But we didn't pay that much for ours. We paid around $60,000 or whatever the cost was.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds great. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you. Okay, back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, I want to just say again, it's the frustration that we feel on the show about the way things are being, way dealers are being, dealers taking advantage of people, and unfortunately there is no. They own the legislatures of this every state. The dealers own the Federal Trade Commission. Right now, with all this presidential election behind us and talking about the Federal Trade Commission, you hear the influence that the politicians have on who gets prosecuted. Will our president be prosecuted? And they use agencies like that improperly. Meanwhile, the legitimate laws out there where they should be prosecuted are just totally ignored. So we don't have a regulation problem. We have a enforcement problem, and the only way to get around that, the best thing to get a dealer's attention is call this show, or call Channel 5 or 12, or go public. One thing the dealers all fear, all shady businesses, don't want to be exposed to the cold light of day. So the more you can draw attention to something a dealer does, the less likely he's going to continue doing that. So that's why this show exists. We name names, we do mystery shopping reports, and when you call the show, we can stop some of the violations.
Absolutely. And not only that, but don't forget about Ashley Moody. You know who she is, the Attorney General
for the state of Florida. Totally useless.
And I don't know. I think that with some positive thoughts, I think she is going to muster up some time to help us out. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to let your voice be heard, and you can do that, by giving her a call at 866-966-7226.
Hope
That's
springs
Attorney
eternal.
General Ashley Moody.
Hope springs eternal.
I think so.
Here's a tip. Let me give you a real legitimate tip. This is from real life, and I think everybody here in the studio, I know that Nancy does it. I know that Stu does it. I know Rick does it. But we talked a long time about Google. One of the most amazing things, and if you don't know what artificial intelligence is, don't be embarrassed. I mean, it's pretty complex. But there's a particular AI that I use, and I think Stu and Jason and Rick, Josh, everybody, my sons, anytime we don't know something, we go to ChatGPT. And the thing about chat, if you write this down, ChatGPT as a goat, a boy, tango.
P.
Huh?
GPT.
P. Yeah, Papa.
Yeah.
Tango.
And this is an amazing place to go.
GPT.
I used to go to Google all the time.
And the nice thing about it is you are able to speak just like Nancy's speaking now and I'm speaking now. Google will give you a lot of information, but you have to pour through it, scan it, look up something again. If you just go to ChatGPT,
that's the way to
go. And you put it in your own words, just like you think and I think, the artificial intelligence takes something that the average person wouldn't quite understand. Yeah. Just talk like you're talking to your friend or your brother.
It understands spoken and written language. Google requires you to come up with the right question. If you don't phrase the question just right and write it out, who knows what you're going to get? It gives you everything kind of related to this. And then if you ask ChatGPT something and it gives you something, you can correct it. You can say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's not exactly what I was looking for. I was thinking about something like this." And it goes, "Oh, I'm sorry."
It's like talking to a human being. You say, "I didn't understand that. Could you clarify?" I mean, you could just if you're doubtful, just try it anyway. Right?
I really think that ChatGPT is a whole lot more creative, and they'll work with you. When I say they'll work with you, you can ask a question and they'll come back and maybe create a more personal, question, and they come up with an answer and it's always right on. So that's a good place to go. So that's Chat GBT.
GPT.
That's GPT. So take advantage of that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a dog also this morning from Big Dog Ranch Rescue. And Buddy is the dog of the week. And he was, I believe that he came here from North Carolina, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. And don't forget, we do have the mystery shopping report. We're going to go to John, who's holding from West Palm Beach. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Is it you're talking to me?
I am. What can we do for you, John? Thank you for calling.
No, you're welcome. The speaking of AI, I'm an educator in Jupiter. The one thing that we tell the students when using AI is that the information could possibly be wrong. So when they ask AI a question, whichever program they're using, to ask the same question 2 or 3 different ways and then take the answer and draw from that. Because sometimes the information can be wrong.
Yes.
So if you're looking up something, you want to ask it 2 or 3. And actually, the reason why I tell them to do it, because I teach science, is they have to sit there and think. They have to think about what they're going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's just a challenge in itself, because the students today, they don't know how to ask questions. They don't know how to think. They just want everything spoon-fed. So when they have to ask a question, they have to sit there and think about the question of what they're going to ask.
I always make sure if it's giving me some kind of information I'm looking for, like something factual, ask it for where its source was. If it can't provide the source or it gives you something crazy, say, come on, you're wrong, try again.
Yeah, usually they give you a link that you can double check.
Yeah. But yeah, it's true. It's like talking to a person. They're imperfect.
Yes.
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate the call.
Oh, you're welcome. You have a great week.
Oh, thank you, John. Thanks for joining us this morning. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530. And you can use that number to vote on the Mystery Shopper Report. So jot that down, 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Wally. Wally's been holding, and Wally's calling us from Boca. Good morning, Wally.
Hey, good morning. Nice to talk to you. I called you, probably last winter. I got some very good advice from Earl. I have a BMW 330 series that I was buying off the lease, and I called about buying an extended warranty, and I took Earl's advice, did not buy the warranty. This was almost a year later. I'm happy. I haven't had any problems with the car. But at this time, I decided to sell the car and probably lease another BMW. So that's one question I ask you as far as a dealer. But mainly for my call right now, I want to sell my car. It's a 2021 BMW, 39,000 miles. In lieu of going to a BMW dealer to see what they will buy it for, I was thinking of possibly going to Carvana or CarMax. And that's my question to you, if you can give me any recommendations of if that's
it's
a good option, or
you're in the driver's seat. It's a seller's market today. Probably one of the most favorable changes, developments in the retail business and retail wholesale, for that matter, is the way used cars are bought and sold. It used to be an art. I mean, there was no science to it. The biggest liar got the best price, and it was one of those things. There, even dealers used to be taken advantage of. Auctions were rigged. A used car was considered something that only the good Lord could give you the true value on. And I used to play a game with my salespeople at my dealership years ago, and I'd have a meeting, and I would have my managers who appraise my used cars. I'd have a car parked in the service drive. I wouldn't tell them whose it was or where it came from. Typically, I'd maybe borrow it from a customer, and I'd send my managers out to appraise that car one at a time and write the number down that the price and give it to me. So I'd get 5 or 6 prices. Now these are professionals. They've got the NADA book, they got the Black Book, they got the Mannheim book. They got all these ways to decide what a car is worth. And I would read I wouldn't embarrass the salesperson or the manager because he knew who he was. But I'd say, here are the prices, and I would never do that exercise when there wasn't more than $1,000 difference between the prices quoted by professionals. So today it's completely different. You can nail down the actual price on a used car by using some of the things that you suggested. You can say CarMax, they're probably the best, but CarMax will also give you too high a price, but they might give you too low a price. So, that's one price. Then you go to your BMW used car department, and you say, I got too many cars in the family. I'm downsizing. I want to sell my BMW, describe it, give it to them, let them test drive it. And then go to a couple more BMW used car departments. Just don't let them think you're going to buy another BMW. Okay. Think you're going to sell it. But you can have fun with this if you have time.
I do.
You can get you get a CarMax. You go to 3 BMW dealers. You got to go WeBuyAnyCar.com. You go to Carvana. You can end up with 8 or 10. Offers, solid, good offers to buy that vehicle, and you take the top one, and you'll find the difference between those. It will be in the hundreds and probably thousands of dollars. So it's a seller's market.
Okay. I just want to mention, that's good advice. Thank you. There's one thing I want to mention. I was coming out of a Costco parking lot on Sample Road the other day, and there was a guy at the light, and he was giving out these flyers. Says, "We beat CarMax offers." There's another one called Car Drop, CARDROP, and they say we buy cars and we pay top dollar, and we'll beat their offers. So I guess it's pretty competitive, as you said. So I will take your advice, and I do have the time.
You'll enjoy it. It's such a thrill. You get 3 or 4 numbers, and all of a sudden some guy comes along and says, I'll give you $18,000. That's $3,000 more than anybody.
Right.
You run over there and you sell the car and you laugh all the way home. So it's a seller's market for the first time ever.
One question, if I may. As far as leasing or buying another BMW, I know you've often said, and I agree with you, stay away from some of these dealers in South Florida. If I head up towards West Palm Beach or even a little farther north, you think I'm better off? And my other second question to that is, would you recommend telling them I want to lease or I want to buy, or don't say anything?
No. Just be sure you want to sell the car. You see, if they suspect that you're going to be buying another car, then they can play with the trade-in or the offer.
Right. This is afterwards, or when I actually
you want them to think they can buy that and put it on their used car lot.
Yeah, but when you actually go get a price first before you mention how you get an out the door price, as if you're just going to pay cash, and then that price that they use, and even if remember, you got to compare this against other dealers, but they give you that price, including their fees, then you say, using this same, and if that's acceptable to you, then you use that selling price to establish the lease payment, and that sale price to establish a purchase, if that's the way you want to go.
And one question, as far as you mentioned fees, and I've been listening to you every Saturday, very educational and very good, and I realize that obviously the state attorney is not doing what she's supposed to do. And am I correct in saying that if I go to lease another car or buy another car, and if they do add on dock fees or extra fees like that, I mean, can I just look at them and say this is not legal in the state of Florida?
You sure
Am I
can.
correct?
You sure
Okay.
can.
Well, I mean, it's legal to charge them, but they have to include it in their advertised price.
Okay.
So that's how they get around it. So you can come in on an advertisement that's not done.
See, junk fees have only one purpose, and that is to deceive you into thinking that they are part of the cost of the car and not part of the profit that the dealer makes. So that's the reason that the Attorney General of the law says that it must be the advertised price must be the price that you actually write the check out for, plus government fees only, and that would be sales tax and license plate.
So it's
Okay, so-
if you're comparing prices between dealers that have fees, you're comparing apples to apples. A dealership that doesn't charge fees, for example, we might not have the lowest price. It's just everything you see before you come in and waste your time is available to you to the penny. It's not used as a surprise. There's no the dealer fee is usually used to restore the money the dealership would have lost if they had honored a ridiculously low advertisement. So
but
yeah, they advertise low and make it up for it. Go ahead.
I'm just confused with one quick question. If I'm not going in on a particular advertisement and I just go in and I say I want to buy a 2025 or I want to lease a 2025 whatever BMW, and they come back to me and they say, okay, this is the price, and in that price they're giving me at that time, they have documentary fees. Is that legal at that time that they're disclosing it at that time?
Yes.
Can they get away with that?
But they won't disclose it at that time. They won't give you a price unless they think you're going to take that car home today, because that's their ace in the hole. If you're shopping and comparing prices, they'll have a couple $1,000s in these junk fees, which they don't tell you about until you're in the business office.
Yeah, or after going through the whole back and forth process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have this phrase that I recommend that you use. You go in and you say, I want an out-the-door price on that 2022 Honda Accord. I want the out-the-door price. And my definition of the out-the-door price is, if you want a little drama, you can reach in your pocket and take your checkbook out and say, I want the price that I can make this check out for, and give you the check and get in that car and take it home. That makes it pretty basic and obvious as to what you're looking for. But the law says that a quoted price must include all junk fees, all fees except government fees.
And if they include it, then they're within the legal rights.
And the price they give you.
Okay, and one last question. I don't want to take you a bit of time. And you've mentioned before, and I really forgot what your suggestion was. You're better off saying you're buying or you're leasing, because I am leasing. I'm not going to buy.
It's better off to don't see leasing numbers, and even finance payments can be manipulated. So it's just best to go in there and say, I want a purchase price, like Earl just said. What am I writing the check for? And when you have that number, you can compare that number. See, the thing is, other dealers will have fees too, but they know you're shopping, so they'll play with the price.
Yeah, if you do,
it's bottom line
your
numbers.
homework, you will be able to essentially pay as good a lower price on a lease as you do a purchase. But the lease is more complicated, and it's easier for the dealer to manipulate and take advantage of you. On the average, the profit dealers make on leases is much higher than the profit they make on a purchase.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's because it's complicated.
Okay.
And
Very good.
Wally, this is Nancy Stewart. I got to tell you, you're in a great position. You're in the driver's seat, and you got a whole lot of room to negotiate. Good luck.
I have the time. I do have the time on my side, so
definitely
I'll take advantage of that.
That's
also.
a great asset.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and it's a pleasure listening to you every Saturday. Very informative and great show, and a happy Thanksgiving
Thank
to
you
all
very
you and
much.
your family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for the compliment. Please join us again. I believe that, Jonathan, what do you think? We're going to switch gears here and go ahead to Anne Marie. Okay, we're going to switch gears and take a moment from all the calls. And I believe that Stu has some messages he'd
I
like
have
to
some
share
messages.
with us.
Yeah. Are we ready? Because I have some anonymous feedback.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Some came in just in the last week. This is a really good one. What do I do if I lost my key? I just wanted to move my car to the garage, and I at least got it in neutral, only to see my steering is now locked. What do I do?
Oh, boy.
Before Rick says anything, you could go to YouTube and search, how do I unlock my locked steering wheel? And you will see Rick in our most viewed video, well over a million
Or
something views.
ChatGPT.
All right, never mind. Rick is wagging his finger. I've been finger wagged. All right, Rick, on to you. After finger wagging.
The locked steering wheel video that you're speaking of
Yeah.
is if you have
Turned it.
turned the car off
Right.
and your
Turned
steering
it
wheel
too
got
much.
locked because your tires are up against a curb or something.
Oh, this has no power.
But if you can't if you don't have a key to turn the key on,
You can't do that.
your wheel is not going to unlock.
Oh, yeah, don't look at that video.
Yeah. Well, look at the video anyways. It needs more views.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've lost all the keys for your car, it's going to depend on whether it's an immobilizer or whether it's just a normal ignition type car. If it's just a normal ignition, you can go to any Toyota dealer, take along your insurance card or the registration that has your name and your information on it with the VIN number, and they can look up the key code and cut you a new key right then and there. They'll probably charge you like $5 or $6 if it's just a manual key, but it's very easy to do. But they will ask you to identify yourself to make sure that you're not trying to get a key for somebody else's car. And that will at least get you to be able to unlock the steering wheel with just a plain metal key.
But how many keys don't have chips anymore?
Yeah, not unless it's like a 20-year-old car, most of them are going to have the immobilizer chip. Now, if that's the case with yours,
Call it to
that key is going to be more expensive, but what I would do is call a locksmith. Our local locksmiths actually have a way that they can hook up to the computer and they can clone a new key to operate your car. And that they'll be able to reset it and do it actually less expensive than what the dealership would do.
Or if you know a car thief.
Exactly. A very technically
Really
savvy
good car
one.
thief.
Yeah, really tech savvy one.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right. Let's see. The next one, more anonymous feedback. These mystery shopping reports reveal car dealers really do think their customers are stupid. How can any reasonably ethical person be a car salesman when they have to try with a straight face to convince a customer a price which is 15% or so over MSRP is a good deal? That's a tough question. I mean, it's something that we've thought about for years. I know there are tons of good salespeople and just people in general in the car business. I think that as an industry, it's hard to see when you're in it. Maybe it's not discussed there. It's from the leadership on down. They're not discussing ethics. And I think a lot of people do eventually, when they're at a dealership, an unethical place, will leave, and they see a high turnover. They don't have,
or you rationalize,
Right.
And I think look at yourself. You need a job. You need to make your mortgage payment, your car payment. You got to take care of your family, and you need money. Car dealerships pay really good money to salespeople. So the first temptation is the fact that you can't find another job. So you get a job at a really high volume dealership. You can make easily close to $100,000 a year.
Your first year, yeah.
Your first year. There's no other job I can think of that you could do that with. So
without a degree.
So then you rationalize what you're doing, and your manager tells you, or the dealer tells you, these other dealers out there are competing unfairly. That's why we have to have these junk fees, and all we're trying to do is make a fair profit.
Yeah, but also what people are seeing at a dealership is you're looking at a snapshot in time. Earl and Nancy and I, we've been sitting in place for decades, and we see people come and go, and salespeople come and go really fast, and that's called turnover. And most of these dealerships with high pressure tactics, those salespeople don't last long. They go in there and they're instructed by their managers to go through their sales process, and after a month or two, they go, "I can't take this anymore."
Yeah, I can't take it.
And they leave. And then we have people that we call dinosaurs, and they've been in the business for 100 years, and it's hard to shake the old habits, and they're still out there, but they're farther and few between. But yeah, it's very rare to find a true den of evil.
Then there's a special type of salespeople, because we have those too, that have been doing it so long they've developed a customer base.
Yeah.
So it's like they have their own little dealership, and their
business.
customers come back and buy from them year after year after year. And yes, they do give them a fair price. Why? Because they know they're going to come back, and that's the way you find honest dealers. You find a dealer that's at a relatively small town, and he has no choice. He's selling to the same people.
Yeah, you got to be good.
If you get into a big urban area like South Florida, a dealer can be in business for 50 years and never sell a car to the same customer.
Yeah.
There's too many people out there, so you can screw every customer that comes in, and there's someone waiting behind him to come in. It won't work in Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah, in Palm Beach County, there's how many people live in Palm Beach County?
Well over 1 million.
1 million people. We sell 5,000 cars a year. We're barely scratching the surface. All right, let's see. I think there's one more. And okay. Hello, Earl. I've been contacting numerous dealers by email to get out-the-door prices. So far, they reply back with no out-the-door pricing, but only show a link to their dealership showing a picture of the vehicle. At this point, is it good to personally go to these dealerships that have the car in stock, and me knowing what I want to pay for the vehicle, just go ahead and negotiate from there? See, they win. They win if you do that. Don't go to the dealership yet. You've looked online. You found the car that you like. Send in an inquiry on the vehicle. There should be a button that'll say, give me your best price, or get a quote, or they call them call to action buttons. And there'll be a button on the listing, and they're going to get in touch with you. And so do it by email or phone or text. Don't do it. Don't waste your time and drive there, because that's their goal, to wear you down. But if you can get the information first.
Here's a trick. If you have if you have a sense of humor and you like to fool a dealer, is you can call the dealer back and say, this is Mr. Smith at First National Bank, and I've got Mr. Jones, that's you, who has been talking to your dealership, and he said this is the price that you gave him for that 2024 Honda Accord, and I need to get that price now, because I'm giving him a cashier's check to take to you. And,
right.
and
how much should we make that out for?
How much do I make that check out for?
Right.
And then for those of you who remember Jackie Gleason, you will hear Yama, Hama, 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 because he's not going to have an answer. He won't be able. So that's a trick you can try.
No.
Nancy?
Thought we were getting waved at. They're communicating with sign language, folks.
We
I see it all the time out of the corner of my eye. Has to do with time.
Learned that
I think
a
we're
long
coming
time
up
ago.
to buddy
Rick,
time, right?
You have anything for us?
I do, actually.
Great. We're going to go to Rick.
This one's from Donovan. He says, for Earl, what do you think about the Japanese car makers really starting to have sales issues globally? Nissan is in a lot of trouble and has lost basically 100% of profits. Honda has also been down everywhere but the U.S. They're all struggling in China. Toyota continues to have falling production and sales in both the U.S. and China. And the Japanese brands really seem to not be in a very good position lately.
I think Donovan was in the car with us this morning when we were discussing
Nissan
all
is,
of that.
Nissan's hanging by a thread. I don't know the answer, but I would guess the answer is that the Japanese business community and the government are pretty tight. And the Japanese don't like to see any big companies fail. So I think they orchestrate alliances. If Honda gets in trouble or Nissan gets in trouble, they will try to negotiate an alliance with a strong company like Toyota. I don't like government interfering like that, but they do in Japan. And it's unusual to see a Japanese company go under. Although if there's an exception, it'll be Nissan.
They're all old. All these companies, they used to build fighters and engines in pre-World War II and all that. So it's crazy. Even the little ones like Mitsubishi we make fun of, but in Japan, they are a major manufacturer of machinery and other construction equipment. It's crazy.
And sales are definitely falling. I mean, the stock is, less than desirable, but Nissan is, they're cutting 9,000 jobs as sales fall, and they're in some trouble.
Yeah, the dealers hate Nissan. The joke is that the top guy for Nissan, considered one of the best CEOs, the best heads of an automobile manufacturing company in the world, is hiding in Lebanon now because the French want him in jail. He escaped from the Japanese jail.
Yeah, that was in 2018.
You think I'm making this up?
No, 2018.
You won't believe this, but Carlos Ghosn packed himself into a trunk and sent himself to Lebanon
a
to
cargo
escape
plane.
the Japanese jail. Yeah. This is the head of Nissan.
I'm waiting for the Netflix movie that comes out about that. It's worthy of a Netflix show. Actually, I was worried because Anne-Marie didn't text us, but she did. And quick second for Anne-Marie's text before we get going.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
She says, "Good morning. It's been a challenging 4 years with a pandemic, quarantines, chip shortages, and supply line meltdowns that have already impacted customers and kept them from buying the specific vehicles they wanted. It is said that time heals all wounds, and I was wondering, how's the healing coming along? Our number one, our car inventory is finally expanding. Oh, yes. We saw it a while ago with domestic manufacturers, and those lots are full. At Toyota dealerships, we're not all the way there yet, but we are now acting in a competitive mode now like we were before. I would give you an example. If you snap back to 2019 and looked at our lot, we probably had 400 or 500 new Toyotas. We have 100 now. But it's still plenty of inventory. But yes, the discounting has started. The competition is kicking up between dealerships. The spending on advertising is going up. We are part of that as well. We are looking at we're doing a whole new marketing effort, and we're getting back to the basics. We're shifting from an ordering system that we put in that was really good for our customers, and I want to say this out loud: it wasn't good for us. It caused us to have some difficulties in the amount of vehicles that we could bring in, and we have fixed that. We're in the process of fixing it. But Toyota wants you to sell cars fast. They don't want you to have order banks getting the perfect match that the customers want. So, we did that. Hey, that's what kind of people we are. Yeah. Our parts readily available now, much better, but we still have some things that are hanging out there, but for the most part, pretty good. And are more dealers selling their inventory at MSRP or lower finally? Yes, pretty much everybody is, except for we've run into a few on our mystery shops where they can't leave the past behind. And we had a couple where we had in South Florida here. It was the BMW down there in Broward somewhere. Anyway, yeah, it feels like it's normal. It's like a slightly reduced version of normal.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet.
Well, I don't know if I want to say better, because what's going to happen is that's when they start frothing at the mouth down. When the competition gets going, that's when our mystery shops are going to get interesting.
Yeah, they never quit doing that, did they?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick, are you finished?
Yeah, we're pretty caught up here.
Great. We're going to switch gears here, and we're going to go for the dog of the week. And the dog of the week, his name is Buddy.
Buddy.
And he is a Big Dog Ranch rescue, and he's a rescue from North Carolina. And remember, you know, this the registration fees, we pay those. Earl on Cars will pay the registration fees, so keep that in mind. And you know, it can be pretty expensive to adopt a dog, and it's a $200 value. So take a look at the video, take a look at Buddy, and see how adorable he is.
Oh, he's a tripod.
Hi, my name's Lorna. I'm a volunteer here at Big Dog Ranch. This is Buddy. This big boy is Buddy. He came to us after the hurricane in North Carolina. He's a recent amputee, and he's learning to walk very well already. He needs a forever home. He's such a sweetie, loves to go out, loves to walk. He's a great dog.
Look at that happy smile.
Oh, how
He got a
precious.
big grin on his face.
Yeah, he is a special dog, and he needs a special home. So he's got 3 legs. He's missing one of his front legs.
He's 7
I
years
bet
old.
he doesn't miss it at all.
No, he's getting
He
around.
get around real
He adapted.
He's getting
He's a
around
mixed
really well.
breed. He's large.
Very
And-
houndish.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a happy hound.
Yep.
All right, so go if you want to get more information.
Stu can usually he can spot the happy hound.
Yeah, you can tell a happy dog, and
They
most
usually
dogs
crawl
are.
all over Stu when we're out at Big Dog Ranch.
Because I smell like
they
dogs.
have a bomb.
Rick smells like dogs. The dog guys smell like dogs.
There you go. So he's 7 years old. He's a mixed breed, and if you didn't notice, he's brown, and he has been he's been vaccinated. He's got everything. So it saves you.
Except for his right front leg.
It saves you, you know, a whole lot of money. And like I said, that's a $200 value. And don't forget that you can get Earl's book at www.earlsbook.com. And the reason I mention that is not only is it a great book, but all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. That's $19.95 for the Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer, and you want to take advantage of that. So go to Big Dog Ranch. That is www.bdrr.org, and you can take a look at Buddy and all the other dogs. I think that what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the mystery shopping report, which is an interesting one. I found it interesting that there were only 21,204 people in that town.
Oh, I'm glad you looked it up, because I didn't look it up, and I knew Earl was going to ask me questions about it. I'm like, oh, I'll Google it tomorrow morning. I wanted to go to bed after I did the report.
Well, it's
do
interesting
that in the
because what I
morning.
said earlier in the show about small towns are nicer places to buy cars. I don't remember a terrible shopping report from a small town. Do you?
No.
No.
I mean,
think
if you
so.
take advantage of somebody in a small town, the whole town knows about it.
Yeah, you can't take that chance.
Yeah.
You know, it's how funny how small this town is. What's the name of it?
That is Stan McNagg Chevrolet, and they're in between. They're in Tennessee,
Right.
and they're between
Tullahoma.
Nashville and Chattanooga.
Okay, so this town said the guy he referred to Murfreesboro as some big city dealer. So that gives you an idea, like how many people here in South Florida have even heard of Murfreesboro, and this town thinks that's the big city. So
You know, well, maybe that's the reason we're such nice guys, because our dealership is in Lake Park, and they've only got 10,000 people.
right, we live in
Is that
we're
what
a
it
little
is?
small town dealer.
I didn't look that up. Is it 10,000?
Tullahoma, Tennessee. Tullahoma.
Oh, it's Tullahoma?
Yeah,
Ah.
Tullahoma, Tennessee, and they
Okay.
and the folks at Tullahoma look to Murfreesboro. That's where they go to party. That's the big town they take vacations in. And they go shopping in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. Tullahoma, Tennessee. I like saying that.
I feel
Tullahoma.
like I want to apologize to everybody up there because I was just up there because it's gorgeous. I'm not making fun of the towns. It's just it's fun because we're
They're between Nashville and Chattanooga.
Yeah.
You were in
I was
Tennessee
in,
just recently.
I was in Gatlinburg and it was awesome. Yeah.
It looked like it was very beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's so beautiful up there.
Agent Lightning did a fantastic job as usual, and she remains a star. Let's say that she does such a great job on these mystery shopping reports, and we thank her for that. And we thank Stu for his ability to do such a great review and write it up. So back to the recovering car dealer, and we have our mystery shop from Stan McNabb Chevrolet in Tullahoma, Tennessee.
Okay, I'm going to read this report that was put together by Stu, and Agent Lightning makes a lot of notes, and Stu turns it into something I can understand and read. And here it is. I'm speaking the first person, just like I was Agent Lightning. I arrived mid-morning, was greeted by a salesman named Jimmy, a small town name, Jimmy. I like that. He was very friendly and eager to assist me with purchasing a new car. He asked me what I had in mind. I replied what I was considering a small SUV, either a Chevy or a Buick. And this, by the way, is Chevrolet GMC Buick, which is what you typically see in very small towns. An investment in a car dealership is pretty high normally, but in a small town, you really can't afford that sort of investment, so they have multiple makes. In this case here, all the GM makes, or most of them, Chevrolet, GMC, and Buick. I decided on a Buick model, a new 2025 Encore GX Sport Touring in Buick Blue. And when I said new 2025, and I always remind you that a new car is the car that you get, the latest model that you can possibly buy in that, because
this is a new car.
This is a new car.
It's not even 2025 here right now.
This is a real new car. It had its Monroney label. Our first caller, I think, in the show had to do with Monroney, John from Palm City. So he'll be delighted to know that the Monroney label was properly affixed, and there was no addendum we call phony Monroneys. I pulled up online on my phone to see if there was anything interesting. It had an MSRP online of $32,085, but on their web listing for that unit, they advertised a selling price of $28,065. So there it is in a nutshell. The MSRP, and it was that's a plus. It was affixed to the vehicle where it should be, and then online they had a price which was. The advertised price was $28,065, which is below the MSRP. So this is the way business, so far so good, kind of a thing. This is the way it should be done.
And she doesn't mention this to Jimmy. She looks at it just to see if there's, and she doesn't say anything. So she sees it's advertised quite a bit below MSRP.
Yeah. And this is a reason that smartphones are so cool, because you can stay one step ahead of the salesman. I mean, sometimes he's telling you one thing and their online pricing is telling you something else. So I like the way Agent Lightning has always got that phone in her hand, and she sees and describes what's going on. Okay, the salesman, Jimmy, and I headed inside to get the keys. He asked which county I live in. I explained that I'm in the process of moving here into Tullahoma, Tullahoma, and currently staying with my son. She comes up with some good stories. He then asked what vehicles I currently own, because they offer a discount program if I own a 2010 or newer non-GMC vehicle. This is a typical discount offered by most manufacturers. I mentioned that I own a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. Jimmy responded, I believe that will work, but let me double check with someone who handles more of the out-of-state transactions. Jimmy picked up the phone and asked for Danny. Danny was a sales manager. Asked him to step out to his desk to meet me. Danny quickly came over, confirmed that the discount program would apply, and explained that all they needed was my vehicle registration to verify the eligibility. Simple as that. He also welcomed me to Tennessee, the volunteer state, assured me they would take excellent care of me. He encouraged me to reach out if I had any questions before heading back to his office. Jimmy retrieved the keys. We went for a test drive in the beautiful fall weather. He was very knowledgeable about the car's features, demonstrated various modes while I was driving. He also showed me how the blind spot detectors, auto stop, and lane assist features work. If you haven't driven a car in a while, or bought a car, I should say, in a while, sometimes these things are, you say, I can't believe they could do that. I mean, the technical improvements in cars, if you haven't bought a car in 5 years, I guarantee you, your new car will have something that is a wowzer. Oh, I love that. Once we returned to the dealership, we went back to his desk where he asked for my driver's license to enter my information into their system. Jimmy then asked how much cash I planned to put down and asked about my credit score. I told him I was likely putting down around $5,000 and that my credit score is in the mid 700s. He said he had everything he needed and would be back shortly. About 5 minutes later, Jimmy returned with the finance manager. This is somebody you normally don't see. They sometimes call themselves the business manager, and usually you see this after the car has been purchased, meaning you signed the vehicle buyer's order, but you haven't signed a whole bunch of other stuff, and that's when they really get you. But in this case, the finance manager, T, letter T, introduced himself and presented the sales and financing numbers.
I wondered if T was his first name or last name.
I don't know.
Middle name.
Mr. T.
Well, yes, if it was his last name, now it's Mr. T. That's kind of funny.
Top line, you had to work for that one.
Yeah.
The top line was MSRP $32,085. They took off $1,200. Oh no, took off $1,020. Took off $1,020. That was Stan's discount, and another $3,000 rebate. This brought the sale price to $28,065. Wow! Same as the advertised price.
Well,
so far so good. But the next paragraph, $599 junk fee. So even in Tallulah, or where are we?
Tullahoma.
Tullahoma. Even in Tahoma, the junk fee exists. $599 junk fee was added along with sales tax and some small legitimate fees. The bottom line, $31,151. So as nice as this report has been, they still did essentially the same thing that happens in South Florida, but just not as much of it, and it's not as...
We got to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And that all answers another question about why do salespeople do that? Because salespeople can be fooled just like customers can be fooled, and thinking what they're doing is totally legitimate and normal. So I believe that's the case here. Then he covers some generalized financing terms, giving me payment ranges based on my self-assessed credit and $2,500 down payment. And bear in mind, although we didn't go there in the shopping report, there's more money made financing cars than there is selling the car. In other words, the profit on the sale of a car might be $1,000 or $2,000, and the profit on financing a car will be $2,000 or $4,000. I mean, a lot of money. He explained that he could offer the conquest bonus, but if any financing specials applied, I might not be able to combine both benefits. This is true.
Yes.
However, he assured me he would do his best to secure the best rates while keeping the bonus intact. T then asked what he needed to do to earn my business today and make me a part of the Stan McNabb family. Stan McNabb.
Sounds like a football player name.
Yeah.
McNabb. Mm-hmm.
He acknowledged that I was closer to Murfreesboro and its big city dealerships. That cracks me up. Murfreesboro.
Some fancy
But
Murfreesboro.
emphasized that they would love the opportunity to make a deal with me, whether today or in the future. I thanked them both for the time and said I'd be in touch.
Wow.
And there you have it. And we vote on
nice.
that. And if you haven't listened to the show before and you haven't voted, we try to vote on the curve. And C would be the average dealer, and average dealer ain't too good. So that's a C, though.
Well, you got to consider the market they're in.
And the market, that's true, a small town. So we don't like to throw A's around. We don't like to throw F's around. F is pretty serious, and it means that you are not on the recommended dealer list at all. A means you're perfect, and as you know, there's no perfect dealers. So try to keep it in the middle there somewhere, and B, C, D. And if you got, we'll take an F and we'll take an A if you insist. We understand that. So you can vote.
All right. Yeah. Make sure you send them in. I'm waiting for my folks to send their grades in, but I'm gonna I have an interesting take on how I'm gonna grade McNabb in Tullahoma. It's such a small town. I mean, it's but they have this deal. They got to be the worst dealership in Tullahoma. Yeah, I was surprised they're off by $5.99. I'm giving them a C minus.
Well, if all the other,
we don't know that. There's no way they can. Actually, they can. Actually, I'm joking. If they have a $5.99 dealer fee in that market, I guarantee other dealers do, because they got to be competitive with each other. Then again, there might not be any other dealerships in that market.
You know, what we should do is go around and find out the junk fees at the other dealerships.
Yeah. All right. So I'll give two provisional grades, and then we'll settle it up after we look after the show.
Mm-hmm.
On its face, they get an A. I'm sorry, they don't get an A. They have a dealer fee. They can't do that. They get a B because everything was right. They just have something in place at that dealership that they got to fix, and that's the dealer fee. If nobody else in town has a dealer fee, that grade is going down to a D. If they're the only one in town.
Well, they gave them the price, and that was another plus, because most dealerships, especially South Florida, you don't. They tell you, I won't give you the price unless you're going to buy it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so in this case here,
they wrote it up. They even got the finance guy to come up to do it.
Yeah.
So it's either a B or a D.
So folks, what do you think? You can text us your answer, your grade for this dealership, and that number is 772-497-6530. What do you think about this mystery shopping report of a population of, I think I quoted over 21,204
people?
Population,
21K.
People.
Bob texted us. He says B plus for Stan McNabb Chevy. And Marie has a grade. I'll give him a B plus. One dealer fee, but still under MSRP. And Jonathan in Palm Coast, try not to faint. I'll give this dealership an A minus. That's unlike you, Jonathan. All things considered, it really wasn't a bad experience. The junk fee was tolerable, and I agree with you. If that's how it is in
Tullahoma, Tennessee.
In Tullahoma.
That was not a big.
It's not a big town.
It just wasn't a big fee. It was a fee, but
it's bigger than our fee when we used to have a dealer fee a long, long time ago.
$4.99.
Yep, $4.95.
$4.95.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Again, that number is 772-497-6530. Let's get some scores in. And Rick, what do you have for us?
I've got Negan 1 says D for the junk fee. Des Don says B. Sounds like they might even reduce or eliminate the dealer fee. Doug Tesler says the fees are not good. So Ella says B minus. Meow. Over here on the other channel, we have Joseph Keller says B. Would have been an A without the high dock fee. Johnny Z. Fradley says B. $5.99 fee is not too bad, and there's no forced add-ons. Tim Gilliland looks like a B to me with minimal junk fees. Tom Steckel, B+++. Excellent salesman, no addendums, and they met their advertised price except for the $5.99 junk fee. Mark H, B+, no pressure, fairly low junk fee. And myself, I'm agreeing with the majority of, I'm going to say a B. I like the salesman. I think he was very knowledgeable, and everybody was nice. Nobody was putting any big pressure. You know, are you going to buy today? What can I do to put you in this car right now? You know,
It was a very good experience.
I think the $5.99 is a little stick in the craw, but
it is
it's
what
doable.
It is.
And if you need a Chevy, that's a good place to go looking for one.
Yeah, exactly. For me, the fee $5.99. I just dislike fees very, very much. I'm going to give them a C minus. Okay, Earl, what do you have?
I'll give him a B.
You got
a B.
You're giving them a
Okay.
B. Okay.
I will say this: I just looked up. I looked up dealerships in Tullahoma. Thank you. I'm having a hard time with it. I'm looking at John Roberts Toyota. John Roberts Toyota has a $599 dock fee. So I'm raising my grade. He's now on the curve, a B for McNabb, because that's in the market. That's what they're doing. So.
I was playing while we were listening to the votes, and I took my chat GPT, and I said, list all the car dealerships in Florida that are in towns under 20,000 people. So this is we've established that small dealerships are more honest.
Yeah.
So I'll just I've never heard of these dealerships. Furman Chevrolet of Tarpon Springs, Wakula One Stop in Apalachicola, Carabel. This is Franklin Ford in Carabel, Florida, Indian Atlantic, Florida.
Yeah, why not?
Rosner Chevrolet.
Yeah. I'd just be careful in Florida for people who are not familiar with it. You can have a name of a town if you're in South Florida, and it's completely indistinguishable from the town next to it. There's no difference. You get north of Palm Beach County, and you could drive through some country, come upon a little town, drive on, find another little town, like it used to be. But down here, we're, like Earl's joking, we're in Lake Park, Florida, small town of 7,000 or 9,000 people, but it's really contiguous with the metro area.
From Tequesta on the north end, all the way down to Boca on the south end, it's pretty much one continuous city right now.
Yeah. It keeps going south. It doesn't end until you get to Miami. Miami,
it's
good point.
Yeah, that's Florida, folks.
And optimistically speaking, I really think that someday we will have a no dealer fee list. Could you imagine? I'm going to give all of us, a pat on the back. When you go back in time, you can go to 2002 when, our dealer fee was eliminated. And I'm thinking positive for the future. I really think that that's going to happen in time. And also with Ashley Moody's, with her help. And just in case you didn't hear me mention her earlier, she is the Attorney General. And I think she has some plans for the auto industry. I am going to start believing in her and sending positive vibes. And her telephone number, if you'd like to give them a call, is 866-966-7226. Okay, back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, all I can say is that if you do contact
Ashley?
Yeah, if you do contact Ashley Moody.
I'm on a first name basis.
Also copy and contact your local media source.
Yes.
The only thing that the Attorney General reacts to in our state and probably most states is publicity. So if they have a law that they're not enforcing knowingly, and this is the case with Ashley Moody, and Channel 5 or Channel 12 or this radio station or whatever source of media you contact, if they talk about this dealer breaking the law, it's going to cost them a lot of money. That's the only thing really gets a car dealer's attention today, and you're better off to try the media than the enforcement agency.
Yeah, great idea. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the show, and we have to say to you, we so appreciate your company.